Sure, sure. And so, speaking of like warm up drills and just drills in general, how do you go about choosing a drill that would fit that hitter based off their mechanical development or the timing progression side?
Yeah, it's so the levels certainly help. The levels are a little bit of a guide, right? So you're not going to look
Mhm.
at 512 drills and be like, where do I pick now? You're going to be like,
It's
okay,
overwhelming, right?
yeah,
Right.
my hitter, I'm going to zoom into plane adaptation. Now I have 4 levels. And you would basically, you might not know exactly what level, but you're going to be able to say, you know what, they're either a level 1 or 2, they're either a level 3 or 4, or they might be in the middle, they're 2 or 3. So you're really only looking at 32 drills. And what you're saying is, okay, try this one out. Let's see how this feels. Feels good? Awesome. Let's try the next one out. How does that feel? Even better? Cool. And you kind of keep moving along. You don't have to do every single one. You could do one and skip 4 and see and know you're trying to find where that sweet spot is. It's a hierarchy. Again, it's my hierarchy. So hopefully my hope with this is that coaches look at this and is like, this is great. I'm actually gonna move it around like this because this makes sense for my hitters. You know what I mean? This is my own, basically creating something of their own. The idea of this is just the system, this is the skeleton, and coaches can then apply their own meat, their own layers to this to make it their own.
Yeah, and I was wondering with that the framework and the system. How did you come up? I mean, because it's brilliant that you've come up with this, but is it how did you come up with this framework? And it actually is this the framework and system that you work in to where I don't want to say you can almost plug and play at that point with your athletes and hitters because you have to still be very adaptable as a coach. But this is a great system and a framework that you can use here going forward with each athlete and help them reach their maximum potential based off what you've created.
Well, thanks. I appreciate it. But yeah, it's funny. We had an Olympic weightlifting coach come in 2004, 2015. So spring of 15, we had been open for less than a year.
Mhm.
And she had talked about when she works with athletes, she had a single triangle. And all she talked about was for Olympic lifting, for a
Mhm.
safety protocol, can they feel their positions? Can they move through their positions? So like again, holds, right, isometric holds, and then eat like slow tempoed movement was her next thing that she would do to teach a movement. Then she would make them go really lightweight and go fast, and then she would add heavy weight. So I had that as like, I always thought, I'm like, that's really really cool for weightlifting. And then I kept trying to ask myself, how would I do that for hitting? How would I do that for hitting? And it kind of applied for a little bit, but then I finally took a step back and I'm like, all right, hang on. If we only focus on movement, they're going to be a really good swinger. And if we only focus on movement and timing, they're going to be a really good practice player. And if we somehow able to combine the movement capacity, or really their movement ability, their timing ability, and now their mental performance ability, now we have a hitter. And that was really the 3 prongs. Now, I've tried over and over again to think of like, okay, is there a third side of this pyramid that's mental game? But I really don't think so. I think mental game is the base or the foundation or the whatever. It's just this infinite pool that this thing sits in, because mental performance again is just, it's going to be so different based on person to person. It's going to
Mhm.
blend with their own personal experiences coming into it. But it doesn't mean that it's not important. It's probably the most important thing, especially when a hitter gets older.